Hi everybody, Lori here for Simon Says Stamp. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got a colorful floral project to share with you featuring the Graceful Flowers stamp and die set. Here they are. It's a larger floral stamp set with a really long floral swag, probably sized more perfectly for a slimline if you wanted to use the entire image. I'm going to be focused on these two individual blooms. I'm just going to stamp those and emboss them in clear repeatedly on a panel of Hammermill cardstock. So I'm taking off just those two blooms from the Graceful Flowers stamp set. I have a panel of Hammermill white cardstock. Any white cardstock will do, but I do love Hammermill. It's very nice and smooth, great for blending, great for stamping, great for embossing. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp powder tool to prep my cardstock, and then I'm going to ink up the images with Versamark ink. You can use any clear ink. I also have Simon Says Stamp clear ink. I don't know why I always grab my Versamark. You know, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, is what it is. And then I do like to stamp it twice to make it nice. Sometimes I even stamp it 3 times. Stamp it thrice. Stamp it twice. You know what I mean? Live your best embossing life. I'm going to pour on some Simon Says Stamp clear embossing powder. It's kind of hard to see, but I do this over some cardstock, and then I funnel that back into my tub. And then I'm just going to keep on stamping these two individual blooms all over this panel. I think I do about 8 if you're keeping track. And then I actually break out another panel and do another, I don't know, maybe 8 or 6. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to make sure I had enough blooms. I had an idea to make a colorful kind of sort of wreath or frame for the sentiment. And so I wasn't exactly sure how many blooms I would need. Better to have too many than not enough. And you know I'm gonna go in rainbow order. Okay, so just repeating this over and over. Stamping the blooms, Versamark ink, pouring on Simon Says Stamp clear embossing powder, and always prepping with that powder tool. Love that powder tool. I used to use the bag, you know, the powder bag, used that for years. And when the powder tool came out, I thought to myself, this is what I do. This is what I always do. I always resist the new things. Think, I don't need that. I don't need it. But then when you try it and you realize, okay, yeah, it's better than the bag, because I used to get that bag all over. I get it all over. I mean, it works too. I mean, it works great. They both work great. But I think the powder tool is cooler. I don't know why. It's like, it's nicer. Anywho, so I emboss those with a heat gun. I like to do that on top of my Simon Says Stamp white glass mat so it doesn't warp my grid mat. I'm going in with the Emboss Resist. Going to be using all Pawsitively saturated inks. They blend like butter. Starting with Cheeky, and I'm trying to go a little bit gradient. So over on the left side of the bloom, I'm trying to go a little darker and fade it lighter. Sometimes, and after I'm all done die cutting, I go back in and even add more zhuzh because I really like that gradient love. I'm even pulling out Pucker, which is the darkest shade in that cheeky blush pucker trio, just to get more gradient. And then here I'm doing a Peachy. Like I said, I'm going in rainbow order. Okay, if it sounds like I've lost my marbles, I swear to you, I have not been drinking. I don't drink. But I am losing my marbles because we are in the thick of moving. We're packing up. We sold our house and we're moving to Minnesota. If you haven't heard, my husband took a coaching job there up in Minnesota, and I'm excited to be one step closer to the one and only Kathy Zilski. We're still, I think I'm 2 hours away from her. I'm more north, but we are going to meet. We're going to meet halfway. She wants to meet Hank the Tank. And you know, she has her little grand kitty, her daughter's kitten named Franklin. And we have a kitty, grand kitties, my son's, and his name's also, his name's Frank, and we call him Frankie. So we've got the 2 cats, Frankie and Frankie, and then we got Hanky. Hanky, Frankie, Frankie. I mean, it's like meant to be. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I forget to mention the ink colors, I'll have all the supplies listed in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. I'm just working my way through. I'm not going to sing it again. But here we're on the True Blues, using Marine, one of my favorites. I'm also using the Simon Says Stamp small blender brushes. So back to moving. Okay, so I am in the thick of prepping for Stamp-Timber, because Stamp-Timber comes right when we're moving, and I don't want to miss the kickoff. So I'm trying to do some stuff ahead of time. You guys are gonna love it. So September is always a party when it's Stamp-Timber. Fabulous new release, fabulous collaborations. You guys know the drill, right? Always looking forward to it. Something exciting happening every day, and I'm trying to prep, because I know once we get in that movement, and I pack up all my craft supplies, and then when I get to the new house, which, by the way, there's a small little office in the front of the house, and I'm going to have a craft room. Never had one before. Am I excited? Can you tell? I mean, it's small. It's not big, but it's better than being in the dining room. Although I do love 20 years. Well, I haven't been stamping for 20 years, but we lived in the house for 20 years. Probably, I'd say 13, 14 years I've been crafting in the dining room, except for the little stint that we lived in Germany. And that also was like right into the living room. So I've never had my own room. And this is exciting. I'm thinking about craft room. You know, I'm looking on Pinterest, right? And I'm thinking, how can I keep it cool, keep it trendy, keep it hip, keep it clean? I love a good streamline. Like, I love a good put everything away, you know, even though it's not my reality. But I like to think that I could be stylish, but also be a creative genius. You know what I mean? We all live legends in our own mind. Anywho, yeah, that's where I'm at. So I pulled out a little terracotta, and it just made me realize I don't use terracotta enough. And speaking of that one, crimson. This is a rainbow splash color, crimson. And this color will slap you across the face. Why haven't I been using it more often? Did I mention I'm using the Simon Says Stamp small blender brushes? And then after I'm all done blending, I take a dry paper towel and I just rub off any excess ink that might be sitting on top of that clear embossing powder. And it really makes the white bloom pop. Okay, so then I'm going to take the coordinating dies for these blooms and take them off camera and run them through my die cutting machine. I'm using a little Easy C pink tape to hold them in place, just so they don't shift during the die cutting process. Okay, so I'm going to do this as just kind of repetitive, just die cutting the blooms. So tomorrow is kind of an important day. We have an inspection here. My husband and I are like low-key freaking out because, I mean, not that I don't think we have any termites. I don't think we have any mold. I don't think we have any plumbing or electrical problems. But, you know, if we have them, then we're going to have to fix them. And that is not a good feeling. So you know how it feels. Like, it feels very vulnerable. We just went through a ton of showings, and that felt very vulnerable. My family didn't understand. I mean, the one day I broke down, I'm like, you don't understand. These people walking through our house, and it feels like they're seeing me naked. Like, they can see all the nooks and crannies of where I have and have not kept the house clean. But everybody pitched in. I mean, we cleaned the bathrooms, we cleaned the floors, we cleaned the windows. But there's always spots, you know, like the trim, like doorknobs. You know, I don't know. There's always things that get neglected. Whatever I'm trying to say is the house is not perfect. It's very well loved and lived in. I mean, there's 6 people still living here, plus a dog and a cat. And anywho, but the house sold, so that pending a good inspection, I should say. So anywho, that's where I'm at. And that's why I might sound for the next few weeks a little cuckoo. You know what I mean? A lot on the plate. Like, too many tabs open in the brain. Because, you know, and here's the other thing about when life gets crazy, is that also the mundane, regular things don't stop. Still got to get grocery shopping. Still got to make supper. Still got to do the laundry. Still got to brush your teeth. You know, don't forget to put on deodorant. These type of things, you know. And then, of course, I got my work. This is my job, and I got to keep up with deadlines. Just trying to, you know what it's like. juggling all the things. So I have a panel here of white cardstock. My card base is Buttercream, and I'm just getting the lay of the land. I'm going to stamp a sentiment from that Graceful Flowers stamp set. I'm going to stamp it in black, keeping it very simple because we got a lot of color going on with the blooms. I'm going to use VersaFine ONYX black ink and just stamp it. I love the fonts in the stamp set. They're very thin lined. I love a thin line sentiment, and I love a mixture of kind of a handwritten scripty with a straight up classic font. The two together just tickle my fancy. So I did a little tape runner on the back of that panel, taping it down to the Buttercream card base, and then I'm going to start kind of getting the lay of the land with the frame or floral wreath layout. You know, I'm going in rainbow order. I'm pretty sure I made far too many blooms, but I didn't know. You don't know until you know, but you got to have enough. But I had way too many. It's fine. I can save those extra blooms, put them on the envelope, put them on another card, but I'm going to pop these up. I'm going to use some of these, what are these called? The Simon Says Stamp foam squares. These are the thinner ones that are black. I have a lot of the black ones. I don't know why, but I really love the thin ones. They come in two different thicknesses. You can get the thin ones and the thick ones. I love them both, use them both. But for this, I kept it thin. And I'm also like kind of zhuzhing the left-hand side. And did I mention, I think I was talking about moving in cats and dogs, but after I die cut the blooms, I went back over and zhuzhed the left-hand side with darker shades of ink. In the same color family, I just tried to go real dark to get that nice gradient contrast. And I'll have all the ink colors that I use listed, but you can always go back, watch the video, pause it, and check out the colors that I'm using. And okay, so just kind of, you know, tucking and zhuzhing is what I'm doing here. Tuck and zhuzh. That should be a dance move, the tuck and zhuzh. And there you have this beautiful kind of dreamy floral wreath that's zhuzhed up to the high heavens. And then I'm going to add a few of these, I think they're called Starshine. They're Simon Says Stamp, kind of clear iridescent confetti embellishments that I love. My most used favorite, also using that embellishment wand, the triangle tray, Barely Art glue, and this card is finished. Sending you love and hugs, some rainbow embossed blooms coming at you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.